ngayon sa opisina. So I'd like to introduce to you Undersecretary Dina Ocampo.
For the enhanced basic education program. Hopefully, this will give you a better understanding. We have had better so we are drawing from the learnings of various reform efforts. And this is also important because we are also drawing from learnings that have been crystallized from interventions with indigenous people. That's why it's very important that we are able to integrate inclusion into the basic education curriculum. That philosophy of inclusion is key in our, and that is embodied in our law. Our law is called RA 10533, the Basic Education Act of 2013. We also have the Kindergarten Education Act, which is 10157. And that's a these two in tandem are very important. I think that we need to be able to understand that these two laws together justify the implementation of K-12 already. We also consider, for example, the needs of the learner, the child's intellect, the development of the learner. And what we are trying to do in this curriculum is to give the learner different avenues. So we are moving from a curriculum that is singular, that is the same for everybody, to a curriculum that is more diverse. And hopefully that will allow us to teach diverse learners. So the diversity, the shift from singular to diverse is a difficult shift. And that's what we need to be able to understand in our curriculum. We are also considering how the Philippines is compared to the global community. For example, it would be better if we had 12 years of education because this makes us consistent with most of the world. There was a time when we were only one of 3 countries that had 10 years of basic education. At least now we are at par with the world. However, it's not sufficient to add 2 years. Diba? What we need to be able to do is to improve all of it so that we have 12 years plus kindergarten of good basic education.
Ayusin lang po namin yung video, hindi po kasi nagsasabay. Papatal lang po namin ang player. Hopefully po yung ibang mga tanong niyo masagot po ng video na ito. Kasi very comprehensive na po siya tungkol sa grades 11 and 12. Tsaka dun sa ano pang nangyayari sa ibang courses.
We'll be discussing with you the key features and details of the K-12 curriculum, the implementation of K-12 already. We also consider, for example, the needs of the learner, the child's intellect, the development of the learner. And what we are trying to do in this curriculum is to give the learner different avenues. So we are moving from a curriculum that is singular, that is the same for everybody, to a curriculum that is more diverse. And hopefully that will allow us to teach diverse learners. So the diversity, the shift from singular to diverse is a difficult shift. And that's what we need to be able to understand in our curriculum. We are also considering how the Philippines is compared to the global community. For example, it would be better if we had 12 years of education because this makes us consistent with most of the world. There was a time when we were only one of 3 countries that had 10 years of basic education. At least now we are at par with the world. However, it's not sufficient to add 2 years. Diba? What we need to be able to do is to improve all of it so that we have 12 years plus kindergarten of good basic education. We also need to consider that we have to make sure that while schools improve, communities improve. So if communities are improving, that means we are working with communities in delivering good education. I think that if we do this right, tingin ko lang, if we do this right, we can actually leapfrog the educational system. This is now the slide that shows us a synopsis of what the education program is. First, our objective is to develop the Filipino with 21st century skills. Now, we have defined 21st century skills in DepEd as those skills that contain information media technology skills, learning innovation skills, communication skills, and life and career skills. These are the integrative skills. Okay? The integrative skills are not subjects. The subjects are the same. It's language, technology, livelihood education, math and science, arts and humanities. And what we're trying to do is to make these two things interact. So in other words, while we teach them math, we are teaching them life and career skills. While we teach them TLE, we are teaching them information, media, technology skills. In other words, we don't just teach because of the subject matter. Ang gusto natin, ang lalabas na bata sa DepEd at sa edukasyon ng basic education, ang lalabas na bata dyan, meron siya nitong apat na 21st century skills categories. To do that, we need a curriculum support system. We need to know what kind of teachers we need. We need to understand the materials, facilities, and equipment that will allow this to happen. What sort of ICT environment. What kind of assessment must we put in place so that we can make sure that these skills and sets of knowledge are learned. School leadership and management is also very important. You know, senior high school is a new thing. Diba? And a lot of our high school principals will have to learn the skill of connecting with the industries in their community, working with partners. And so we need to specify what sort of school leadership and management is required. We also need to be able to specify what technical assistance a division, a school's division, must be able to provide. So if a high school has, for example, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, if they have that, then who must be the supervisors in a division? So this is a very important item. And then finally, the community industry relevance and partnerships. For example, if we're going to set up an agri-fisheries school, we would like to set it up in a place that has land and is close to the sea. It would be very difficult to have agri-fisheries in Metro Manila, for example, because we don't have enough space for arable land. So we need this strong curriculum support system. And finally, and we are in the process of articulating this, is we need a monitoring and evaluation system for the entire K-12 reform. And that monitoring evaluation system will have to consider not only the NAT, because we're so used to that, we only think the NAT. It should not be just the NAT. It should look at our input into schools. What do we give schools? Therefore, what can we expect back from schools? We also need to look at how have we trained our teachers. We also need to look at how have we chosen our school leaders. And of course, we need to look at the whole SBM or school-based management framework. This is very, very familiar to everybody. This is how we encapsulate that the curriculum is drawing from the previous curriculum. We didn't reinvent the wheel, but we did have to do some spreading of content. And of course, we had to add content because of senior high school. So basically, kinder to grade 10 is a spiral curriculum. Senior high school becomes more disciplinary. And then, what we're trying to say also in this framework is that we need support systems for the curriculum to succeed. And when the curriculum succeeds, hopefully, the child in the middle, or the learner, also succeeds. Yun yung isang mungkahi ko sa buong DepEd na huwag kakalimutan na na yung lahat ng trabahong ginagawa natin para dun sa learner. No? The learner should be the one to benefit the most from this reform. Hindi siya dapat mahirapan. Dapat matulungan natin siya. Okay. There are 4 exits. There are 2 ways to look at the exits. The first one is the 21st century skills exits. And then the second one is the destination. Where do children go after basic education? They can go to higher ed, they can go directly to employment, they can go to entrepreneurship, and then they also can go to middle skills development, so further middle skills development. And to be able to do that, we will need very strong career advocacy or career advising. So this is another feature of high school that we really need to think about. No? And I think this is one that we haven't really planned out any interventions for, no? That's strong enough. We have a good 2 years to do this. We need to be able to help children understand what they want to be when they grow up. And we need to be able to explain to them that what they want to be now can change. And if it changes, it's okay. They can change their minds. So if they decide to go, let's say, into tech voc, after a few years they want to go to college, that should be possible. Okay? The other thing that is important for all of us to remember is that DepEd is not moving alone. We are connected to the rest of the education system, and we are connected using the Philippine qualifications framework. The PQF has a progression from basic ed to tech voc or TESDA and then higher ed. In DepEd, we have to deliver 2 levels. Level 1 at the end of grade 10 and level 2 at the end of grade 12. This is level 1. So if the child is achieving level 1 through grade 10, then the child should possess foundational knowledge across a range of learning areas or competencies. And then this child should be able to apply this, and then the child needs supervision, very close supervision. At the end of grade 12, the knowledge should become functional and technical. And what this means is that you can apply scientific, critical, creative thinking, and use technologies in more specific areas of interest. And then you need minimal supervision. We are now proposing this one, proposal pa lang siya, we are proposing this one to the National Competency Council. We feel that it is important for DepEd to articulate this clearly. The reason for that is it translates to our key stages. We have 4 key stages: grade 3, grade 6, grade 10, and grade 12. In the formal system, that's what it looks like. In the ALS at the moment, our key stages are 6 and 10. So what we need to be able to do is also to find the way so that the key stages are relevant in both the formal and non-formal basic education approaches that DepEd delivers. Then what we need to do, and we are doing this already, and as a matter of fact, we are almost done, pretty much done. We convert these now into content and performance standards and learning competencies. The content and performance standards and learning competencies, this is what comprise the curriculum. And then, on the basis of the curriculum, we make learning resources. Now, in a curriculum that is going to be used by more than 48,000 schools, you cannot expect the same curriculum happening every day, di ba? Curricula will change. That's why it's very important for us to have learning standards. The standard is the most important convergence point. We should all attain the standard. Children should meet them. So they refer to how well the student must perform, at what kinds of tasks, based on what content, to be considered proficient and effective. And then we define what learning should be achieved at different grade levels or over life. At a certain point in your life, you must achieve a particular standard. So this is a very important thing because when we translate these standards into grade 3 standards for, let's say, math, or grade 7 or grade 6 standards for, let's say, Araling Panlipunan, we must all still connect. And that ALS and the formal system must also meet those standards. So it's very important that when we think of the basic education structure, we think of the different ways it is delivered, not just through formal school. Okay? Then we have content standards, performance standards, and learning competencies. This is an example of a key stage standard at grade 3 for mother tongue. By the end of grade 3, students will enjoy communicating in their first language on familiar topics for a variety of purposes and audiences using basic vocabulary and phrases. They will read in the first language texts or L1 texts with understanding and create their own stories and texts in their first language. That is the standard for grade 3 mother tongue. For grade 9, an example in grade 9 is science. So for example, respiratory and circulatory systems working with the other organ systems. So we stipulate what should they know at this point, diba? At the end of this first quarter or first grading period, the children should have knowledge or demonstrate an understanding of how different structures, the circulatory and respiratory systems work together. And then, the performance standard must show how children will be able to conduct an information dissemination activity on effective ways of taking care of the respiratory and circulatory systems. Ibig sabihin, we don't just want children to be able to repeat what you say or what you teach in class. What we want them to be able to do is to convert this knowledge into an application, into a behavior. Yung knowledge conversion na yun ang ginagawa ng guro. Yung paglipat memoryang information into actual behavior, an actual product, let's say a project or an activity, that is the true manifestation of learning. And that's what we need to be able to show. So hindi lang siya salita. Dapat hanggang sa gawa na-achieve natin yung standard. And finally, this is an example of a learning competency. Learners must be able to explain how the respiratory systems work together to transport nutrients, gases, and other molecules to and from the different parts of the body. So when we assess, we will assess that also. So our curriculum is like that. It has content standard, performance standard, competency. Now let's look at the whole basic education program. In other words, the framework of the curriculum, it is present in the entire basic education program. So this is the architecture of the program. We have elementary, which is from kindergarten to grade 6. I said, diba, the key stages are K to 3 and then 4 to 6. And then we have junior high school, which is 7 to 10. Now there's a little emphasis here, if you notice. From grade 7 and 8, technology livelihood education is exploratory. And then in grades 9 and 10, technology livelihood education takes on specializations. Okay? And then we have grades 11 and 12, which constitute our senior high school. Senior high school has 3 parts. The first part is the core curriculum or the core subjects. The second part is the track. The second part is divided into 2. We have contextualized track subjects and then we have specialized track subjects. Now what are tracks? The first track is the academic track. So if you imagine your exit, diba? If you take the academic track, you can go to higher education immediately after high school. The second track is the technical vocational livelihood track, the TVL track. That track allows you to go directly to employment. or it allows you to go to middle skills development. The sports track and the arts and design track, they allow you to go anywhere, higher ed or middle skills development or work. And then everyone, if they so choose, can go into entrepreneurship. What is important, I think, is for us to realize that children who choose these tracks, they should be able to go to more than one place. So we don't track them for life. You understand, no? You track them for an option. So they may choose academic track, something happens in their life, they will have to change to tech book. That's okay. That should be allowable. That should be possible. These are the features of the curriculum. All of these phrases, ang dami po niyan, no? Learner-centered, inclusive, research-based, standards, competence, seamless, decongested, culture-responsive, culture-sensitive, contextualized, relevant, responsive, flexible, ICT-based, and global. All of those words are in the law. And what we're trying to do in the curriculum areas is make sure that these words come alive in the curriculum. Because otherwise, the law will not be meaningful. So we should be able to make these laws come and these words come alive. We need really a balance between the ideal, the meaningful, and the logically feasible. What is feasible? We need to be able to find out what is the most responsive track in a particular community. Because baka mamaya mag-offer tayo ng track na walang interesado. So we need to be able to offer the right tracks in the right places. The other one is that we need to have some sort of one-stop shop kind of system. The school or the district together must function as a one-stop shop. If a child cannot go to formal school, in that school or in that district must be access to ALS or ADMs. That must be possible. And finally, we need to build around the needs of the learner. I'm going to go into more detailed parts of the curriculum. Bear with me. I need to tell you what the bureaus went through to do this because they went through a lot to get to this point. First, in looking at 21st century skills, there are 4 kinds, as I said earlier. What we need to do is to look at what are the elements in the curriculum that contribute to the 21st century skills. So we harvested these ones. So for example, in learning and innovation skills, all across the curriculum, you will find creativity and curiosity development, critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and risk-taking. So everywhere in the curriculum, there will be these things. In the teacher's guides, there will be collaboration activities. So in other words, we communication and interpersonal skills through collaboration. And then, to proceed, we looked at the curriculum. Let's say this is an example of grade 7. We looked at the curriculum and then we checked, are there in specific subjects learning and innovation skills? So for example, in Filipino, with the content of Ibong Adarna, na isasagawa ng mag-aaral ang malikhaing pagtatanghal ng ilang saknong ng koridong naglalarawan ng mga pagpapahalagang Pilipino. That particular competency in Filipino grade 7 will contribute to learning and innovation skills because the student is able to show creative representations of what they've read. Then you'll find similar things. For example, in science, the learner investigates the properties of mixtures of varying concentrations using available materials in the community for specific purposes. Again, if the child learns all of these competencies and can perform the performance standards and achieve the performance standards, that child is being helped to develop learning and innovation skills. That's very important. Sometimes, teachers tend to just think about their subject. Math lang kung math. Araling palipunan lang kung araling palipunan. This time, we have to be more concentric, di ba? We need to be able to look at how the subject matters are actually integrative. And the integration is very hard to do. It's really very hard to do. That's why in a curriculum rendering, in the training on curriculum, we need to show that the curricula lead to the 21st century skills. Hindi pwedeng stand-alone. Wala namang nabubuhay na math lang ang alam niya. Di ba? Wala din nabubuhay na English lang ang alam niya. We need to know more things to be able to function well in society. There are features of the curriculum. First, the first reform feature, and it is a huge reform feature, is the mother tongue-based multilingual education framework. And in this framework, what we are trying to do is to leverage the child's dominant language and use this dominant language as the foundational language of education. You leverage that, you use that, one, why? To make children happy. If they're happy, they will stay in school. Number two, they can communicate with each other better. And then they will learn subject matter better. And three, they will develop concepts in a language that they know. In other words, concept development is not delayed. Concept development happens immediately because they are using a language they know. Fourth, because if they have a strong language, they can learn subsequent languages of the curriculum. At the moment, at present, we have 9 languages already currently in the DepEd program of MTD MLE. We expect that there will be more languages, especially from cultural groups. Hopefully, as we use these languages, children also appreciate themselves better and their communities better. But we also need to make sure we achieve the standard of the curriculum. In our curriculum, we are doing a multilingual framework, so we cannot be stuck with our local languages. What we are trying to do is to learn the other languages. So we use the mother tongue so that this set of knowledge in the mother tongue can be transferred to Filipino, transferred to English. So we are actually using the principle of learning transfer. So you have a good foundation, and on this foundation, you learn other things. And I think to be able to reach the goal, which is a multi-literate Filipino learner, we need to make sure that the bridging from mother tongue to Filipino to English is done properly. And that can be achieved through our teachers' guides. Another key concept in the curriculum is contextualization and localization. What is nice about contextualization and localization is that you have to think of where you are so that you can make the curriculum relevant to you. For example, I'll give you examples on that later. But this is in the law. And this is one of the main things that will allow our curriculum to be not singular, but actually more diverse. So we need to make sure that when we localize curriculum, we agree to it. And I think that's a shift in thinking. The usual thinking is we all have to be the same. But the shift in thinking is important because localization means that different areas in the country will use different materials. They will use different instruments so that they can deliver the standard of the curriculum. Other one that's important in K-12 is the spiraling of content. You cannot bring them and substitute, right? You can no longer do the immersion. All the other subjects can have immersion. It now depends on who's teaching it, on the school or on the institution. So even if the ICT changes, you're still learning ICT competencies. And that's what's important. I think the most powerful in the contextualized tracks are the research subjects. So if you are in carpentry, your research will have to be in the area of carpentry. So if you are in the area, for example, of science, technology, engineering, and math, your research will be on that area. You're still learning research. You're still learning to do the review of literature. You're still learning to draft how to ask a research question. You're still learning how to inquire, how to get information or data. But you are doing it in the context of an area that you like, that you're interested in. We now go to the academic track. These are the specialized subjects for account. Also have a teacher's license, professional 5 years relevant teaching experience, attended training relevant to the courses in ABM, and has relevant experience working in ABM workplaces. Importante yung work, because if our teachers only know the theoretical, we will not be able to bring children to work. The teacher should understand the workplace. And this is a point that is always emphasized by our TESTA counterparts. They're always saying that we need more industry immersion for both students and teachers. In a sample SHS program, the school will be able to identify from the community well-known persons who can serve as curriculum resource persons or consultants, so that they can make the curriculum localized and relevant to their community. And at the same time, they have to liaise with industries. Now, let me show you a little slide that has a lot of boxes. Okay? The next slide shows you the division of Laguna. The circles, that's where the high schools are. That's where the children are. Okay? The boxes, the first box, those are the businesses or industries in the area, the industrial parks. The next slide, the next one shows you the automotive industries in the area. The next one shows you the food. Okay, and the next one shows you everything. If you look at all the industries in this area, and you look at the location of the school, you can actually think, how can I use these industries to help me deliver senior high school? What sort of skills do they need? What sort of tech book should we offer? What sort of college readiness or academic strands should we offer that are relevant to these industries, so that the children and the industries will fit with each other? I think that this is a good way to just make more concrete the point of considering the community in education planning on the ground. And I think if we do this process properly and we make the partnerships well, then we will be able to place our students in relevant workplaces as they earn their high school diploma. So it doesn't matter if they're in tech, in academic, in sports, in arts. I just don't have a slide that shows you what the sports careers are in Laguna. But that's another thing that people can do. Or who are the artists who live in Laguna who can help our children learn painting or sculpture. I can imagine it in Paete. I can imagine it in the embroidering in Lumbang. You can actually find these industries and help children learn these beautiful traditions through the arts and design program. So I think that connecting education to real life is an important element of the K-12. It makes it inclusive, it makes it culturally responsive, and it makes it very relevant. I hope that with this presentation, you understand better where we are taking our country. The DepEd will develop the youth in this way. And it is very important for us to understand that this is a very important process. We are giving children 13 years of input on hopefully useful education that they can use in any way that they want. The best curricula is contextualized by those implementing it. I would like to end by just a little warning. This curriculum I showed you is an intended curriculum. It is written down, it is on paper. The real action is there in the school, where the curriculum is implemented. And when we revise the assessment system of DepEd on the basis of this curriculum, we will be able to find out what the learned curriculum is. In the field of curriculum development and curriculum theory, we need to understand that there are 3 kinds. And we need to achieve the curriculum. And hopefully, when we know what children are learning, we can make even better curriculum for them after. So it's a process, diba? It's a process. For now, we are at the intended phase. Our job now is to implement it, and we will really have to do that together as a complete DepEd, not just central office, but the entire DepEd. So thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, so thank you very much po sa pakikinig at panonood sa video. Meron po ba silang mga katanungan pa tungkol sa senior high school natin? Meron po ba ang gustong magtanong? Parang kanina madaming tanong, nasagot na yata. Meron pa po ba? Wala? Okay, ganito na lang po. Okay. Gusto ko pong i-record yung number na to. 0917 555 7510. Ulitin ko po. 0917 555 7510. Okay. Meron po akong tanong kung naintindihan niyo po. Ano po yung 4 na curriculum exits natin sa senior high school? Meaning, pagka-graduate po ng mga estudyante natin from grade 7 up to grade 12, meron silang 4 na pwedeng puntahan or 4 na pwedeng piliin. Kung naintindihan niyo po yung video, paki-text po dun sa number na yan. Yung unang message po na ma-receive na tama po yung sagot, may premyo. Tingnan natin kung sino unang makakasend. Hindi ko po pwede si Miss Eva. Naka-record po yung number niyo sa akin. So, pinatay ko po yung phone na to. Tapos, kanina pong unang number ang pumasok pagka-on ng phone, yun po yung pipiliin natin. Tingnan natin kung merong mga nakinig dun sa video. Kasi importante po ito na alam ng mga bata, lalo ng mga estudyante ninyo, na ano ba pwede mangyari sa kanila pag after nilang mag-SBA, tapos dumiretso sila ng arts and design track. Ano ba yung pwede nilang makuha or mapuntahan? Dapat alam niyo po yan. Para pag may batang humingi ng advice sa inyo, pwede niyo pong ma-advise ng tama. Malakas naman yung signal natin. Wala pa. Wala pa rin eh. Nag-open na ako. Wala pa rin eh. 4 na curriculum exits po yun. Ano po ang nangyayari sa mga estudyante pagka-graduate ng grade 12? Regardless po kung ano yung kunin niyang track, kung Kung academic, sports, arts, or techno. Yan po. Lahat yan makukuha niya. May pumasok. Kanina po. Yung pumasok po, 3 lang po yung tamang answer. Sabi niya, entrepreneurship, college, business, other technical course. Entrepreneurship and business is the same. So, ano ba po kaya? Kanina po kaya number yung tama? Let's see. Ayan na, ang dami. Okay. Okay. 094